Story of Lazarus and the rich man. Do you really need it? This will help you decide. Do you really need it? Or do you just want it because it feels good to your eyes, your pride, or your moment? That is the real question. And the older I get, the more I see a whole lot of trouble in life that starts right there. Not always with something evil, not always with something illegal. Sometimes it starts with something simple we keep telling ourselves we need, when deep down we knew we really did not. The story of Lazarus and the rich man hits hard because it is not really about money, it is about the heart. It is about what we notice, what we ignore, what we value, and what we think matters most. Jesus tells us that account in Luke 16, chapter 19 through the 31st verse. The rich man has plenty. Lazarus has pain, hunger, and suffering laid right at his gate. One man lived in comfort and saw no reason to be moved. The other man had almost nothing in this life, yet his story did not end in disgrace. That ought to make every one of us slow down, because this message is not only for people with a lot of money. It is for anybody who has ever let comfort make them blind. It is for anybody who has become so focused on getting more that they stop seeing people. It is for anybody who has confused having things with having peace. A lot of folks spend years chasing things they really do not really need. Bigger television, bigger cars than the one that still runs, more clothes than they can wear, more subscriptions than they use, more food than they need, more stuff filling the house, the closet, the garage, and sometimes even the mind. Now, let me say this plain. There is nothing wrong with having nice things. There's nothing wrong with enjoying what you work hard for. But when what you own starts owning you, something is off. When your wants get louder than wisdom, something is off. When you can step over hurting people while upgrading your comfort, something is off. That is where this story speaks loud. The rich man was not condemned because he was rich. He was condemned because his heart was cold. Lazarus was not some hidden person in a faraway land. He was right there at the gate, right there, close enough to see, close enough to help, close enough to matter. But when a person gets too wrapped up in self, they can look right at suffering and feel nothing. That still happens today. Some people are starving for food. Some people are starving for kindness. Some people are starving for a phone call, a visit, a little patience, a little mercy, a little dignity. Some people are carrying pain right near us, and we have become so busy feeding our own appetites that we barely notice. So when we ask, do I really need it? Maybe the better question is, what is this doing to my heart? Is this purchase helping me live wisely, or is it feeding emptiness? Is this desire necessary, or is it just another distraction? Am I buying peace, or am I avoiding truth? Am I calling it a need because I do not want to deal with self-control? That is straight talk. A lot of us know the difference between a need and a want, but feeling can blur that line. Loneliness can blur it. Stress can blur it. Pride can blur it. Sometimes we buy things because we're tired. Sometimes because we are bored. Sometimes because we want to look successful. Sometimes because we want to feel in control when life around us feels uncertain. But things do not heal the soul. They can be useful, they can be enjoyable, they can even be blessings, but they make poor masters and weak saviors. That is why this message matters so much. One day, all this material stuff will be left behind. Every outfit, every gadget, every title, every luxury, every extra thing we thought proved something about us will stay here. What remains is the condition of the soul and the record of how we live before God. Mark 8, chapter 36, verse. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? That verse does not need a lot of explaining. it explains us. So before you buy it, before you chase it, before you make room for one more thing in a house already full, stop and ask yourself, do I really need this? Will this serve a real purpose? Will this strengthen my life? Or am I just feeding a habit that keeps me distracted from what matters most? And let me go one step further. While you are deciding whether you need one more thing, somebody near you may need one act of care, one conversation, one meal, one kindness, one real moment of being seen. That is part of the warning in this story. We can get so caught up asking, what else can we have, that we stop asking who needs help. We can become caretakers of possessions while failing to be caretakers of compassion. And at this stage in life, we ought to know better. Wisdom should make us lighter, not greedier. It should make us clearer, not more confused. It should help us recognize that peace is worth more than clutter. Purpose is worth more than image. And a clean heart is worth more than a full closet. So no, everything you can afford is not something you need. Everything on sale is not for you. Everything that shines is not a blessing. Everything you want in the moment is not worth carrying in your life. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is no. Sometimes the wisest thing you can do is put it back. Sometimes the holiest thing you can do is help someone instead. If this message was encouraging to you, take a moment to like, share, and subscribe so we can continue spreading truth, strength, and real life guidance to others who need it. Remember, truth don't change, just straight talk.